Hi, I'm Dave, and I'll try and tell you the story of my journey through my 73 years and including my bouts of mental disorder. I was born in Vancouver, nice family. Father was a policeman, mom looked after a good house. Was a new house. Things rolled along quite well, and so about my fourth year, it was a year that World War II ended. I remember it well. People in the streets celebrating. After the war, I started having these depressions, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong because everything around me was okay. Uh, my parents were happy. The house was new and clean. I had my own room. There was just no reason that I could discover for me feeling so bad. Um, these these depressions lifted. My childhood was generally quite good. Uh, I had a very good singing voice. Um, when I was 9 years old, I acquired a singing coach, and I took lessons for 4 years. Uh, there was one instance that I remember I'll never forget was a memorial service at my high school, and my music teacher asked me to learn a song, which I did, and I was helped also by my singing coach, and I sang, it was Ave Maria by Schubert with words by Sir Walter Scott that I sang in the evening of this Remembrance Day, I think 1955. And I had this piece down pat technically, and the auditorium was full of parents and children. And as soon as the accompaniment started, I knew that something extraordinary was happening, at least to me. And it seemed that that song took flight, and it was an experience that I'll never forget. I ceased singing after that. I joined Air Cadets. I had a good time with the guys in Air Cadets. It was more fun than being at school, because at school I would have depressive episodes that would make it totally impossible to remain in a seat in the classroom. So I used to go to the nurse and claim stomach disorders and get a pass to leave school. As years went by, all through these teen years, I managed to have a paper route and have money. I flew model airplanes with friends. At 16, I joined Air Force Reserves and became a munitions and weapons technician, and spent time, weekends and some days, at the Station Sea Island, which we were flying jet fighters. And we had trainers, and I spent a lot of time in the backseat of trainers flying over Boundary Bay, watching the Massey Tunnel being built. Inverted, looking up over my head. It was quite an experience for a 16, 17-year-old guy. I actually had so much time in the aircraft, pilots taught me to fly that thing. It was great. I didn't pursue a course in the Air Force. Actually, in 1960, I joined the Navy and became a communicator, and did extensive traveling all the way to Sri Lanka, and stopping in a place like Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Bangkok, Hong Kong, Japan, Aleutians, San Diego, San Francisco, Long Beach, Acapulco, Manzanillo, Panama, Bermuda, Puerto Rico, lots of places. I was offered a really good deal in the Navy. They thought I was okay. They wanted to send me to UBC, all expenses paid. The reason that I did not accept this was I thought that I would probably be getting married within a couple of years, and I was reluctant to spend 9 months cruises with the Navy when the heat was off. We had been through the Cuban Missile Crisis at that time, a few months earlier, and the world situation looked a little bit calmer. So I elected to leave the military. I got married in '66, had 2 girls, 2 daughters. Dawn, she's 48 now, Lisa's 46. Lisa has twins, a boy and a girl. They're 21, that's my grandchildren. And we haven't got around to the 14 years. After I got out of the service, I went into longshoreman, then printing, then some car sales, and then I started working with Woodward's, which was probably the longest stretch of employment I've ever had. I was hired as a supervisor at the service station at Oak Ridge in 1969, in charge of about 40 part-time young men. And this was a very, very easy job for me, as I had been a charge hand on board the destroyer. I had worked myself up, so I'm a bit of a leader. So that was interesting 18 months as a supervisor. Then I was promoted to the Woodward's hardware stock room, where I spent about a year, and then I had an opportunity to be a floor covering sales associate in Woodward's downtown. And after a couple of years, I was doing very well and was participating in the merchandising course, which was the completion of which would have made me an assistant manager. But at that point, my left knee gave me a very, very bad time. And within a couple of months, I had 2 surgeries. And the second one was for a weird condition called synovial chondromatosis. It was really weird because in the operating room, they had a photographer scrub and take pictures of my leg. So I never got to see the pictures. But after that surgery, I came out as a full-blown bipolar person. I'd had my depressions, but I'd never had a manic experience, and it was such difficult to explain. Not like a dream, but as if the whole world had changed for the better, and I was along for the ride. The downside of it was there was too much mental activity, too many thoughts racing through my head, and an inability to sleep. I'm an alcoholic, and I go to the program, and it looks after that. But it did not help the manic episodes, which this first one, I think I stayed out of the hospital for almost a month. Then I presented myself at, I went to VGH, emergency. It was just, I felt like I was burning up. And when they asked me some questions regarding my condition, they asked me if I was hearing voices. I don't hear voices, but I told them that I did. And that was a very, very bad mistake on my part, because I got the medicines for people who hear voices. And they weren't, definitely not tailored for what was going on with me. I was treated that first year. The treatment was very ineffective. From January to August of 1975, I was like a zombie, taking too much medication that was inappropriate. When the medication was stopped in August of 1975, I went from August 1975 to April of 1977 with no problems, just like normal. And in 1977, out of the blue came a manic episode that landed me in Riverview, and I deserved to be there. I was there for just under a week, but it was a good environment. I was okay with that. After this, manic episodes would occur almost on 3 to 6 month intervals, and I'd be hospitalized at then St. Vincent's Hospital, and they would treat me with massive doses of chlorpromazine to allow me to sleep. And finally, in 1986, I was in the hospital, and I was making a type of a journal. And this one day, they gave me a medication that I had never had before. And the results were almost instantaneous and beneficial. It cleared the racing thoughts from my head. I felt relaxed, and I wrote this down on my journal, and I showed it to the nurses at the desk in the hospital, and I said, this is really something to me, and I thought you should know about it as well. Now, for some unknown reason, they stopped that medication, and it was back to the old scenario. Now, that was in '86. In early '87, I had another very, very extreme manic episode, which proved to be the last one so far. And I was taken to the Vancouver General Hospital because I had actually fired my former psychiatrist. Our parting words were something like, David, I don't think you are ready to be discharged, but I am discharging you. And I says, yes, doctor, so-and-so, I'm also discharging you. My father fondly referred to this doctor as a parking meter. The new doctor, however, was much different. He didn't exhibit the controlling attitude that's on display. He was more interested in listening than speaking. And he was able to obtain all the records of my admissions to the St. Vincent's Hospital and asked a psychiatric intern to study the nurses' records and all records pertaining to my psychiatric history. And lo and behold, I am placed on this medication that was tried the previous year. And that was the final manic episode. That was it. I have not been back to hospital since. I spent a lot of time talking to a psychiatrist, but we talked about anything. Once in a while, when I would talk about my mental condition, we refer to that as talking shop. Can we talk shop? Okay, you know. But generally, we just had a visit, and that was because I'm on medication. It was a wonderful experience with this doctor. After being released from that admission in May of '87, I discovered MDA actually. I'd actually, in my notes while in hospital, I had described a group situation such as we have today. And I'm totally unaware of it, that it had been in existence for 3 years already. Pleased to meet the co-founders. And good things happened. We were able to buy a couple of lots on the Gulf Islands, and I was able to build a home on the property, which we visit probably half our time there. I feel that I have been given a great gift of an acceptable mood and energy level that I've enjoyed for all these years. And I would like to help others. Coping mechanisms that I have used for depression I see are well documented. Walking had been a great source of relief for me. Hot water, showers and soaking in hot tubs and baths, that helps as well. Getting out of bed in the morning is a biggie. Not being alone is even bigger yet. So I love attending group. I'm not depressed by someone who is depressed. I've been called an incurable optimist. I'm okay with that. But generally, I'm a very happy 73-year-old, almost 74. Everything is fine. The one thing I didn't say is when I'm depressed, usually there's things that are not done that should be done, and that if I'm able to muster up enough jam to do something and finish it, then my mood comes up a bit. And if my mood comes up anything, I mean, that's something. And it's generally possible to notch it up a bit more.